the pain that you're running from is going to determine your growth and determine on how you deal with your growth. Because just because you experience growth don't mean that you're not going to experience pain. It just means you know how to be a better version of yourself through the pain. How you feel about that, coach?
Man, great question, Trey, man. And I have to actually segue into my brother Miles Monroe, man, as he stated, your purpose is bigger than your problems. Keep your eyes on the prize. It's always going to be uncomfortable, man. That's part of the journey. You go experience pain. If you're not experiencing pain, man, you're not
Yeah.
growing. As a man, and when I coach men, and you talked about the suicide rate, and thank you for pointing that out, brother. When I talk to men, most men are dealing with the same issues, man, whether it's self esteem, whether it's confidence, whether it's relationship issue, or whether it's some form of addiction. And that's more than 70% of men are dealing with
Right.
those issues. And as you stated with the suicide rate, man, coaching men there, and that's one thing I love about it, man, is most men do not have a sounding. Most men suffer in silence unless you're part of fraternity, other organization. Even with that being said, most men suffer in silence. So when I talk to men, you'd be surprised, man. I ain't gonna say you'd be surprised because you're a man and you may see it. When we get together and we get around each other, man, one of my favorite saying is iron sharpens iron. And when we get together, man, sometimes men are just so happy, man, just to be able to talk about some of the things that they're dealing with because they can't go home and talk about these things. As leaders, man, you're the leader of your house, so certain things you just can't talk to your significant other about as much as you want to. Even with my wife is pretty much my best friend, but certain things I just can't take to her, man. I don't want to add that burden to my wife, so why am I gonna take that? Most men, we deal with the problems the same way. Certain things we just can't talk about, and if you don't have a support group, you tend to suffer in silence. And depends on how your coping skills is and how you deal with that, man. It can turn to suicide. It can turn to addiction. It can turn to many things that will cause you to the derail. But it's very important, man, that we come to these safe spaces. We look at podcasts such as Decoding Two Sides of the System. We go to the Real Man Talk. We go to these different men conferences. I hear men say all the time, man, there's not safe spaces. And I tell them, there really are safe spaces. But at the same time, you got to be vulnerable and willing to go to these safe spaces. There's many men groups. And once again, even some of the men groups in the churches, that can be a controversial conversation. However, the resources are out there, man. And I just want to encourage anybody that's listening, definitely for the men, not to exclude the women. I'm going to get back to that in a minute, but definitely for the men, look at the resources out there. You can reach out to me, coachhightower.com, the Real Man Talk. There's so many men organizations that I'm connected with, man, because men are right now, I don't know what's going on right now, but men are waking up. Rest in peace to the Godfather, Kevin Samuels, who's no longer with us, but I think he actually was the catalyst to that.